like introductions or something?
Yes.
Since now I never did a live, so I don't even know how to set it up.
This will be fun. Because we are live right now.
Oh, hi.
I don't think anyone's on. I mean, this is my YouTube is really like nothing. I just do it to record it.
Okay.
Because it's an hour or it's like longer than a minute.
And how long are we looking to go?
Now we just feel it out.
Okay. And are we responding to people?
Yes, so we will definitely respond. But I mean, I don't respond that much with this type of thing. Because we're doing more of like a discussion.
Okay.
But we can absolutely answer questions. Walter, you gonna be making noises?
Walter. Oh. I want to get that candle.
Smart.
And I'm about to hit 10,000 followers.
What up? I saw that. That's exciting.
Excited.
Having a lot of trouble.
Why don't you use that little thing?
The problem is I have this, it's charging at the same time, which is being stupid. That works. I really don't care.
All right. So where do I go to turn it on?
Your little icon.
Okay. Or in here? In here?
Yes, and then click live.
Okay. Swap it. Oh, so you're live.
Yep. It should be. Hello.
Trying to set me up. Maybe I should do it over there.
You could do that.
What's wrong with my phone?
Your phone is missing.
Why are we huge on mine and yours is normal?
I think your phone just doesn't like us. What if we went from this angle? Wow.
It's so close up.
It is. It works.
Okay. Cool.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Gym time.
All right. We are live.
If you guys hear a cat, that's Walter. Hello, Kristen. What's up? What's up? Give it a couple minutes. And then we'll get rocking and rolling. Hey, Josh. Joel! What's up, man?
So probably wait, what, 2 minutes?
Yeah, I'd say
we'll start up.
Yeah, maybe like a minute after 7. I'm not used to sitting down. I don't have my coffee.
Now I feel awkward sitting down.
I feel like this would be the best setup, though.
Yeah.
Joel, I miss you too. So this is Samantha next to me. We work.
And this is Brad.
Hello, Samantha's people. We work at Lifetime together, and she specializes a lot in nutrition. And like I said, I wanted to give you guys a different perspective because mine's not the only one or the right one. So we're going to be talking about trying to.
That's good. Yeah, to fit us in. I think that's good because you could see us there and there.
Perfect. We have like 3 different.
We have 3 different things going on, so the angles are working now.
Angles are good.
Good.
YouTube looks a little dark, so I apologize for whoever's on YouTube. But yeah, today just really wanted to go over, like, as it said in our post, like the non-negotiables of eating. So it's like, no matter who you are, what is going on inside your body, or what goals you have, these are like, they have to be in there no matter what. So, and we have a couple stories we're going to share about our experience with all this. Missing anything?
No, I think that's it.
Perfect. I think you should serve them the cup you have. It's the Hulk cup.
I had the honor of having his Hulk cup.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Now that we got that out of the way. Perfect.
Do you want to start introducing yourself?
Yes. So I am Brad Feinberg to all of Sam's people. How long ago did we meet?
It'll be 2 years in January.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been on past year and a half of my life is a blur. What should I say?
Anything you want to.
I've been in the fitness industry for over 12 years. Moved to Vegas almost 3 years ago.
Oh, wow. Short.
Yeah. Was in Philadelphia, which, sorry for anyone who's from the East Coast. I don't like the East Coast. That's a different conversation. Yeah.
Okay.
Your turn.
My name is Samantha, for all Brad's people. I work at Lifetime, and I'm a nutrition coach and personal trainer. I started back in New York. That's where I'm from. I moved here about a year and a half ago, and Brad was one of the first people I met at Lifetime.
Was it really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
And I mean, I absolutely love working at Lifetime. It's a great place to work, but I've also had a huge amount of lives to impact in the process. And it's been an exciting journey. So here I am.
Wow, your intro is so much better than mine. You win that. Awesome.
I think we're good. All right. If you are just still signing in, just wave and we'll be chatting.
Perfect. So really, I guess the best way to go about this is, first thing we want to say is no matter what you're taking on from a nutrition journey, I would say it's probably, and I think you can agree, better to focus on something rather than remove something.
Absolutely.
My biggest issue with a lot of diets is they just remove,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's like, well, what do you have left to eat?
Exactly.
Chicken
And that's
and
why
water.
people start feeling deprived, and they are all motivated in the beginning because they feel like they can do this. And
Yep.
then once they feel like, all right, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, I can't do that, it starts to feel more like you're on lockdown than anything else. And then you're much more likely to rebel. So that's actually one of the main things that I do with my clients is that I always start by adding something
Yep.
instead of removing. So they end off feeling with a positive feedback and a positive challenge to take on with their week coming up instead of negative that they can't eat this or they can't eat that.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. It's like negativity is going to breed more negativity. And I would
Exactly.
even say like hormonally,
Yeah.
that can impact you as well from like like, oh, I hate this or this diet sucks, this and that. It's like, that's going to impact you from a hormone standpoint.
Your gut is very responsive to
Yes.
your brain, and it's a single stream connection, I would say. So if your mind is giving you bad signals, then your gut is just delivering them back and forth.
Absolutely. And I've noticed a lot of times just from individuals who are on whatever type of meal plan or diet and then switching just the quality of their foods, not even like
Yeah.
you've been saying, not even a restriction
Yeah.
diet, just switching the qualities and saying, no, listen to your body. You can eat
Mm-hmm.
technically as much as you want because better quality foods calorically are so much less. So
And they metabolize much differently in your body than any other processed food.
100%. So it's like I dare you to try and overeat
Exactly.
on like a digestive
I
fix.
dare you to get fat eating healthy.
It's very, very hard to do. And then so again, hormonally, you're going to have changes impact that way. So that's
Yeah.
really what I would say from a quality standpoint. And again, not so much restricting, but rather than focusing on, and that could be the thing, focusing on the quality of foods rather than restricting whatever
Yeah.
it is.
I mean, when I start off with my clients, we always go over their what I call grocery list. Basically, all of the foods that comprise their fruits, their vegetables, healthy fats, healthy proteins, and healthy starchy carbs. and let's say they're having literally 10 servings of unhealthy starchy carbs a day, I'll say, all right, you could still have 10 servings of starchy carbs, but now let's make those starchy carbs from the healthy list.
Exactly.
And even though some might consider that overeating, that alone to me is progression, that you're now eating from a healthier source of the food, no matter that it's, a higher quantity.
Absolutely. I think that's really good advice. And then since you're talking about carbs, I think really focusing on each individual macronutrient would probably be the next best step.
Mhm.
So if we're looking at carbs, proteins, and fats, there's specific characteristics or maybe attributes
Yep.
that you want to stick to no matter what. Whether it's you're an athlete, whether it's you're trying to, the cat's just falling upstairs. It actually startled me. It's the only
That
time
someone
it's-
was breaking in.
Yeah. So there's like specific attributes that you want these nutrients to have. Again, whether it's someone obese, overweight, under fueling, over stressing, an athlete, someone that's looking to put on muscle, there's characteristics in each nutrient
Mhm.
that needs to be there. So do you want to take us through carbs?
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah. So my favorite is when I sit down with my client for the first time and I give them the list of how many or how much of carbs they can have. And they automatically take a step back and they're like, no, I'm not eating all of that. You can't tell me that I could have 250 grams of carbs a day and lose weight. I'm not listening to you, Samantha. And you'd be surprised because carbs are really your powerhouse of building muscle. And that's something that people really don't understand nowadays, especially with all of these low carb diets, keto, everything that is so depleted of your carbs. Your carbs are your main source of, brain energy.
Mhm.
So if your brain's not working, other organs aren't functioning properly. So you definitely want to make sure that carbs is a huge component, very important macro. So especially for all of you that are still trying to build strength and lose fat, you got to have your carbs. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then looking at carbs, obviously the way your body's going to metabolize a starch is going to be very different than, sugar, glucose,
Mhm.
dextrose,
Yep.
which even those have proper placement.
Where would you say that is?
I would say one, if we look at the environment inside the body, if glycogen is full,
Mhm.
which means now your body is going to be much better at burning fat
Yeah.
post-workout. And also when cortisol is low, would
Absolutely.
be more appropriate to have those type of carbohydrates. But if I would have to pick the perfect time, it would definitely be post-workout.
Yep.
I remember the times I used to eat like 8 Pop-Tarts post-workout. It was the best. That's a different story though. But then
we'll get into that.
all the other times, I would say starch is absolutely the route you want to go.
Mhm.
Even looking at now we're looking at insulin and blood sugar levels, which play a huge role in inflammation,
Yep.
sustained energy, storing fat or burning fat. And that starch is going to give you that nice, even, steady state of energy throughout the day. And
Yeah.
it's going to have a much better chance of being stored as glycogen.
And at night too, really good for a restful sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah, carbs actually have you sleep better.
Yeah.
So
That's a great point.
what else about carbs? Are we missing anything?
Well, you dove a little bit into post-workout recovery, so I would want to touch upon that for those of you who may not know why eating carbs after your workout is a really good idea. After you work out, you're depleted of all of your glycogen levels, and your body is hungry to repair and regenerate. And yes, having protein after your workout is really great as well. You definitely want to optimize that 45-minute window right after you work out to get in those starchy carbs, because that's what's going to help you rebuild, regenerate, and regrow the muscle tissue that much quicker, so that you aren't going into that depleted state.
And I bet you most people don't say why that happens.
Mhm.
Because if you think so the liver is the command center of the body.
Mhm.
So everything that we eat has to go through the liver.
Yep.
Everything we put in our mouth, into our stomach, the liver is like the border patrol to
Yeah. Mhm.
any country. And I didn't want to offend anyone on that one. And then the liver will say, you go here, you go there, you go here, you go there. Post-workout, muscles, like you said, are like, I need energy.
Mhm.
So they're telling the brain that. The brain tells the liver, hey, liver, put pretty much everything to the muscles. That's why you can take advantage of that
And carbs
sugar
are
afterwards.
and carbs are can be higher. Starchy carbs can be higher in calories, which I never like to talk about calories, but just for the sake of this conversation, your body has three priorities. Your body's first priority is to make sure your organs are functioning properly. So if you're under eating, and usually that's going to come from your carbs, your organs are not functioning properly.
Yep.
So there are going to be certain systems in your body that'll actually start shutting down. Reproductive system is actually the first one to go. Your second priority is stress response. So
Yep.
if you're a person that is constantly at high stress, maybe you have a very hectic life, or you don't do much meditation, or whatever the case may be, always in that fight or flight response with your heart rate, that is also going to be another priority that your calories are going towards. Your last priority is burning fat and building muscle. Your body technically doesn't care if you want to burn fat and build muscle.
Exactly
you need
right.
to make sure that you're eating enough to take care of those first two priorities before you get to the last one. So for all of you people that are under eating and eating 1,200 calories or less, I really urge you to stop doing that immediately.
That's like my breakfast. That was my breakfast this morning. It was 1,200 calories.
And I mean, sorry to go off on a rant, but in the beginning,
rant is
your
good.
body will respond to that, and it'll just say, okay, well, so-and-so is eating 1,200 calories and I'm burning, while I'm at rest, 1,600 calories. So it's easy, simple mathematical equation. You're going to lose weight. After your body actually starts to smarten up and realizes what you're doing, it's going to say, all right, well, I physically or physiologically cannot stay alive and have my organs functioning properly if so-and-so is going to continue to eat less than 1,200 calories. I need to slow down my metabolism in order to meet what this person is doing. So that's when you hit that plateau. That's when you start to, stop making your gains, and you actually start to reverse. So in the long run, by doing all these crazy low carb diets, you are damaging your metabolism in the long run. You don't want to do that.
And yes, there is a time and place for that.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's only for a short period of time. And you have to be full of glycogen.
Mm-hmm.
Your body cannot be in an overstressed, high cortisol all the time, fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
That was very well put.
Oh, thank you.
Good job on that. I think that pretty much covers carbs.
I think so.
But Matt, what you said, that I find out with some good carbs, I am lethargic. Without some good carbs, I am lethargic and cannot think well.
That could be a hormone response.
It could be, but also to what you were saying, because without good, carbohydrates, the brain can't function as well. Your organs can't function as well. So it's just really in response to what you said before.
Yeah, and then there are people that just pay attention to the macros. Macros aren't just macros. So you want to make sure that you're getting your nutrients from your good carbs, and then there's a time and a place for junky carbs, but making sure that you're getting your good nutrients in first, and then you go on to the other maybe unhealthy macros, depending on who you are. But macros aren't just macros.
Perfect. So move on to protein.
Okay, do you want to take that one?
I will.
Okay.
Let's see, protein. They build, rebuild, and repair. And in extreme cases, your body can strip the amino acids, the nitrogen in your muscles to be used as energy. That is like super last case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Also found in a lot of ultra endurance races. So protein. When we look at what protein actually does there are amino acid blocks, and you have two different types. There's the essentials and non-essentials. Non-essentials, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember from like high school health.
Essentials your body cannot make or can't make enough of.
Correct. And then we find that in food.
You need that essential. You need it outside of your body. You need to find it somewhere else.
And then we need a combination of these two to build the blocks in our cells, our muscles, our hair, our skin, whatever it is. And that's where the variety can really come into play. And that's why drinking protein shakes all day, every day is not effective, really,
No.
it's just not effective.
No.
And then different types of protein. So if we compare an egg to a nice 16-ounce prime rib,
You get me hungry.
hungry all the time, that absorption rate is also different.
Mhm.
So again, eggs have certain things that beef does not, so on and so forth. I'm stressing this because that's where variety will
Yeah.
be key. One, because of the essential and non-essential amino acids that we need. Two, because of absorption rates. Now, when we look at the quality, that is a huge deal, because whether you are vegan, vegetarian, or a meat eater,
Mhm.
unfortunately, there are many farms out there that don't treat animals in the best environments. And they're loaded with GMOs, or they're fed corn. They're not free range. And just like a human, where we build up stress hormones, so do animals.
Mhm.
So when it finally comes to our plate, if that was the environment for the animal, which is horrible, I get that, but it's also part of real life, that's going into our body, and which can greatly impact our gut. Meaning
yeah.
it's going to produce more potential cortisol or
Bad
hormone
bacteria.
imbalance. Exactly. Inflammation. So that is why quality, I would say more than anything, is absolutely crucial.
Mhm.
Now, I'm sure a lot of you may be thinking, with excess amounts of meat can come high cholesterol. And I beg to differ. And I know I've said this plenty of times. I say it's not so much the amount of meat and fat. I say it's more, no, you have improper gut health, genetics, hormone imbalance.
And sorry to interject, but it's also what you're pairing this food with. It's like,
That's true.
butter back in the day when it got such a bad reputation. Well, it wasn't the butter that you're eating. It's the not moving and the pastries and cookies that you're eating along with that, not
Yep.
just the butter itself. So it's what you're saying is spot on.
Again, which is all impacting your gut health, hormone levels, blood sugar levels, because I eat a lot of meat and I have been for a very long time. And my LDLs and HDLs are absolutely in great condition. And so that's the thing. It's like there's a lot of information that we're finding out and researching, that how things were looked at in the past with meat is
Mhm.
no longer the case anymore. Now, protein is not just found in meat.
Nope.
Obviously, vegetables are loaded with them. Yes, we would need to eat more of them if we are vegan or vegetarian.
Mhm.
It's not impossible.
Definitely not impossible.
It just takes more focus, more dedication, and I would say
More planning.
more quantity.
Yeah.
And then there is obviously the protein powder.
Mhm.
And really with this, there's a time and place for protein powder, and not all protein powders are created equal.
No.
Again, when you look at quality, that protein powder is coming from a source. And I know with Lifetime's, this is not a plug for Lifetime, it's just a really good example.
It is.
Their protein is coming from cows over in New Zealand. Their whey protein.
They're very
and
happy cows.
They are the happiest of cows on this planet. Like if I come back as a cow, I want to be a cow
New
that's
Zealand
in
cow.
New Zealand that is taken care of by these farmers. But where I'm going with this is the quality of that protein powder is so much more effective, better quality than potentially other brands. So that it is worth finding out where the source is and how it's treated.
And just to kind of dive a little bit into what you're looking for your protein, if you're like, well, how do I know if it is good? You want to make sure that it's third-party tested.
Mhm.
It'll either say third-party tested or it'll be stamped with a third party. Ours uses GMP. But the reason why that's so important is because if it's not third-party tested, there's really no one regulating to say, well, this is, let's say you're having vegan protein. There's no one testing that this is vegan protein. It could be mixed in with whey protein. If they're not cleaning the bins and the sourcing correctly, it could be mixed with a ton of other, cross-contamination of BCAAs and, different supplements. So there's a lot of funky stuff that can be going into your supplements that you definitely want to make sure that you're not skimping out on your supplements. It's really important that you're getting them from a quality source. And that's about it.
Yeah.
And then looking in the ingredients, you don't want to see a ton of artificial ingredients, and you'll know it when you see them. And they shouldn't be in there. If you can't pronounce the name, what is it?
It's a great question. I know potentially a lot of you may be thinking, well, how much protein do I take in? It's a great question. And again, that depends a lot on your goals. Depends a lot of your size. There's many different factors, but a good range would be 0.8 grams to 1.2 grams per body weight.
Yep.
Unfortunately, back in the day when bodybuilders were the quintessential, what am I trying to say?
Guide in the gym.
Yes. Try not to offend anyone. Where they're saying like 3 times your body weight.
That's insane.
If you take in enough carbohydrates, you really don't need that much protein.
Nope. Good carbohydrates, like we went over.
Yeah. And that also can depend on your volume. Because with higher volume, yes, you will need more carbs. If you're taking in 50, 60% carbs, it's not really necessary to have more than 20 to 30% protein. I would even say 30% protein would be too much if your carbs are that high. So there's a lot of factors in this, but a good place to start would be, like we said, 0.8 to 1.2 per body weight. And if you even want to get more specific, you can look at your skeletal muscle mass numbers and base it off of that as well. And kind of impact the amount you're taking as muscle mass goes up, because obviously the more muscle mass you have, the more building blocks, amino acids you're going to need.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah. Anything else on protein?
I would say that when you are, a lot of people will say that it's really tough to get protein, and it is in the beginning. Once you start really planning and strategizing your day a little bit better, it's not as hard as you think. Again, like Brad was saying, you can get your protein in through vegetables. Again, it's going to be a smaller amount, but it is possible. And you want to shoot for every 3 hours. And I'm sure you've heard that before, eat every 3 hours. But when you are circling that around every 3 hours, protein is actually going to, one, help you burn fat, because it is the highest burning macro, meaning that as you're eating it, you're burning the most amount of calories just by digesting protein. And it keeps you fuller for longer, along with fats, but we'll get into fats.
I'm so glad you said that. That was the thing I wanted to think about with protein powder. That's another reason why, protein powder doesn't activate your stomach.
No, and that's why you want to have, if you are going to have a protein powder, it's best to have it after a workout, because you are looking to get something into that system very quickly to start repairing, regenerating, and regrowing your muscle tissue. So within that 45 minutes, it is really wise to have a protein shake, because your body doesn't really need to do much to digest it. It's already broken down, so to say. So it's much easier to just drink, go down into the liver, go into those cells, and start, doing what it has to do.
Also as an emergency, like if you are traveling or...
Always. I always bring my protein when I'm traveling. And especially if you're someone that, like Brad was saying, you don't want to have protein every single meal. But let's say you're having one of those days where you can't even eat. Maybe I would rely on a protein shake just to know that you're getting in some nutrient. So it's definitely good in those emergency cases, or, just to get it in.
Good. I think we should talk about fat.
Okay. Do you want to start with fat?
I could start with fat.
Okay.
I love fat. And I think most of our population does. But I know fat gets a bad rap. What? Was that really that funny?
I was laughing at you.
Unfortunately, fat gets a bad rap. And I know with the a lot of, back in the day or actually I would say in the past couple of years, it's been like the low fat diets, this and that. But fat.
Well, now it's high fat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Now today
Yeah.
and I'll be honest with you. I would almost rather have that. Like if I had to choose one or the other, I
Mhm.
would rather have higher fat. Because one, your body tends to burn what it eats.
Yep, absolutely.
So if we have enough fat in the system, your body's going to want to naturally burn more fat at rest.
And the reason why that's good is because your fat, more healthy fats, really help stabilize and balance out your hormone levels. So, especially if you've been on a bunch of wonky diets or
Yeah.
whatever is going on in your state in the past, however many years, starting with healthy fats throughout the day is really good to start rebalancing out those hormones.
Exactly. And specifically looking at leptin, I
Mhm.
mean, if our body's leptin resistant,
Mhm.
we're not going to use fat as energy nearly as much. So with fat, like I said, yeah, I would agree. Now it's more on the opposite end.
Mhm.
People taking in too much fat. But either way, fat, what it does, many different things. There's different types of fats. Does many different things in the body. But to kind of sum it all up, is you could say there's saturated
Mhm.
and monounsaturated, polyunsaturated. Saturated is your fat coming from meat.
Mhm.
Polyunsaturated, monounsaturated, we're looking at oils, we're looking at avocados.
And
what else?
then saturated fat, as far as oils, is usually only tropical oils.
True. Such as like coconut oil.
Mhm.
What other tropical oils would there be?
No,
That's a good question. The only one I can think of is coconut.
usually only go to that one.
That's a good one. And then I'm sure a lot could be thinking, well, saturated fat is bad.
Mhm.
Too much over time could potentially have a negative impact on the heart, arteries, blood cells, all of that.
And again, I would say it's what you're combining it with.
True.
Like if you're having, I'm not condoning having a high saturated fat diet, but let's just say that if
Mhm.
it's being parted with exercise and other healthy foods, it's not going to have the same effect that you think it would.
Exactly, because if you look at saturated fat. What does that do? It increases your sterol,
Mhm.
which does what? Produces testosterone. So if we are cutting out all the saturated fat, guarantee you hormonally, testosterone could potentially start to dip.
Yeah, well, you do need a third balance of all of them.
Exactly. And then when we're looking at monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, I would say those are predominantly used for keeping the organs healthy,
Mhm.
insulated, joints healthy, but then also more importantly, energy levels,
Yep.
specifically your MCTs, which are medium chained triglycerides. I know a big thing nowadays is like the MCT oil.
Yeah.
The reason it is effective and it's talked so highly of is because it's used for energy. So when we're looking at during the day or for workouts, it's appropriate to include that one way or another to sustain energy levels.
Mhm.
What else about fats?
Easy tip, keeps you fuller for longer.
Oh, that's
So
it,
if you are and helps you also stabilize your blood sugar levels. So if you are again in a rut and can't eat a full meal or whatever the case is, having some simple fats around is really just going to help satiate your hunger. You're not going to feel so full, but you'll give your brain a little bit of energy, give yourself a little bit of energy, just so you can complete whatever tasks you're doing and not feeling like you're going to pass out or whatever.
Perfect.
Um,
Sometimes I take shots of olive oil. I did that on tour.
Sounds disgusting.
I literally had a bottle of olive oil on me
That
at all
sounds
times.
so bad. Oh, what I will say about fats, thank you for reminding me about olive oil.
Of course.
Olive oil is a very healthy fat, but a lot of people don't know that it has a very low smoking point. So when you're cooking, you really don't want to be cooking with olive oil. I'm not saying that it's unhealthy, but it has a low smoking point, which means that if it starts to get to a higher temperature, it's going to start to oxidize into an unhealthier fat. And you really don't want that to happen with your healthy olive oil. So if you're cooking at higher temperatures or even moderate to high temperatures, I would say go with coconut oil or avocado oil. If if you need a salad dressing, olive oil, so cold or, very, very low temperature. But that's a little
really
fun
good tip.
fact
It's
about
really good tip.
oil.
Look at you. Look at you. Awesome. I think that's so that
Good
pretty
for
much
macros.
yeah. So that
Mhm.
covers the macros. I think it. Do you think it would be worth it to talk about water?
Yeah.
So I would say, as a population, we don't drink enough
Mhm.
water.
Yeah.
God, well, I feel like water is the key to everything.
It does everything, honestly. I mean, we could sit here going on and on about everything that water does for you. But just a simple standpoint to understand that water helps detoxify the body. So really helps eliminate wastes. And if you're not getting enough water, that's when you can be, dehydrated. And dehydration alone doesn't need to be to the point where you're passing out. It could just be that you're
Thirsty.
moderately, thirsty means that you're dehydrated. And that could put a lot of stress on the organs because your body is in that survival mode. It doesn't understand that you're just going about your day and you could get water any second that you please. It, takes it as you're on a deserted island. You don't know when you're going to get your water in. So that starts to put a lot of stress and confusion on your body. And that'll start to mess up your hormones a little bit, different responses in your system. And that's kind of a major point.
Also helps keep you full.
Yep. Mm-hmm. But I will say that you don't want to drink a lot of water while you're eating because that'll actually flush out a lot of the good enzymes in your stomach to help you digest. So drink water in between your meals, but not really during your meal. Of course, take a sip if you need to, but
no water during
no
the meal.
water. But if you're drinking too much, you're really diluting the healthy enzymes in your gut to help you digest. So you do not want to be drinking that much while you're eating, but in between, definitely.
Perfect. That was a good little plug for water. Oh,
Thanks.
Amount?
I would say, aim for 1 ounce per, at least. I mean, this is really low ball, but 1 ounce per kilogram of weight. And I drink a lot more than that just because now my body needs it.
Well, that's the
but
other
just
thing,
start at that.
Yeah, that's obviously a great place to start. But if you work out, you're going to need more water.
Because you're just naturally exerting more energy. You're actually losing water through perspiring and actually through breathing. So when you're breathing more heavily, you're actually losing more water through what would you call precipitation?
We'll go with that. Yeah. Even talking, like if, that's all that same type of action, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So making sure you're having enough water is huge for fat loss, weight loss, just being overall healthy.
It just makes your cells function better, more appropriately. Again, like you're saying, the body won't think it's in that fight or flight mode nearly as often, which means you're going to be burning more fat, feeling better, recovering better. Good.
As for sleep is huge. So I come across a lot of people and they want to lose all this weight and I'm very excited and they're very excited. And then they tell me that they sleep 4 hours a night and that's all they can get. And that's it. Sam, you got to deal with that. That's how much I sleep. No, if you keep sleeping that little, your body is not recovering. So let's not keep focusing on, if you're trying to, whatever goal you have. I mean, I don't want to just focus this around losing fat and building muscle, but whatever goal you have, doesn't matter. If you're just focusing on what you're putting into the gym, that's not going to get you there.
Yep.
You need recovery in order to get to where you're going. Your body physiologically will not build muscle, burn fat, or do whatever you want it to do if you are not recovering. So sleep is obviously a huge component of recovery. So, obviously 7 to 8 hours a night is optimal. And then I come across some people that are saying, oh, well, I sleep 6 hours and that's good enough. If you just sleep 1 extra hour a night, throughout that whole week, you've added in an entire extra day of sleep. That adds up huge. So that 1 hour means a lot. And especially if it's when you can get it in there. If you're just not sleeping because you're binge watching, Netflix, I would say go to sleep. If you have other life issues going on, I totally get it. And then I usually tell my clients to go on some type of sleep ritual where they're, maybe an hour before bed, they're shutting all their electronics off or putting them on a warmer setting. Maybe they go in the shower, they do their lotion ritual, whatever they do, maybe some short meditation, have some, chamomile tea, whatever it is that helps you get into that restful sleep will really promote more of a recovery during your sleep instead of just this anxious feeling, got to go to sleep now and got to wake up at this time. It's just stress on the body.
Yeah, and I think with that, the reason why sleep is so important, yes, as you said, recovery, but when we look at hormone-wise, that's how our body resets the cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've said this in so many different live feeds and in posts and this and that. Cortisol gets a bad rap. It really does. It's so important for the body to have a proper rhythm where in the morning it's naturally higher.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I could go on and on about this.
I know you could. Just the tip of the iceberg with this. But it should be higher in the morning. That's what naturally wakes us up.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and the other thing is too, if we only get a couple hours of sleep, now potentially our cortisol amounts and levels are thrown out for the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the day, it should be a lot lower, which is why we get naturally tired. But if we don't get enough sleep, guarantee you at the end of the day that cortisol is not low where it should be. Now you wonder why, I can't fall asleep. It's because your cortisol is probably higher because of all the things you're potentially stressing out, plus the lack of sleep that you got.
Tired and wired.
So long story short, it turns into this messy slop of hormones led by cortisol. And sleep, making sure that, yes, we get quality sleep, but also the right amount, can really better our body to deal with the daily stresses of our lives. So that is why sleep is so important.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are probably watching this saying, well, I just physically can't sleep. I get that. I used to really suffer from insomnia. So I totally get that. But if you start eating better, incorporating all of the macros, the healthy macros that we were just discussing, I guarantee you're automatically going to start sleeping better without even trying.
Yeah.
Just because now your body is given real food, real nutrients.
Yep.
So it's functioning much better. So if you are stressed because you can't sleep all the time, start eating better and watch what happens.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
All connected.
It's funny when someone, like you said earlier, it's like, I just want to focus on strength training.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. So, what I tell a lot of the people that I work with, it's like, there's nutrition, strength, there's movement and recovery. And you have to focus on all three.
Yep.
Yes, there's more involved with just those three factors, but those three factors can impact everything. So, that's why it's worth talking about sleep, in this piece, because what you eat can impact sleep, as you're saying, but more importantly, with recovery and cortisol levels, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
What else do we have on the list? We got, I would say, about like 10, 15 minutes left.
Yeah. We got sleep, water.
Would it be worth it to talk about like metabolism and dealing with calories and just making sure that to actually eat enough?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that.
That's huge.
Yeah, I know that's
absolutely huge.
Because with that, when you think about like a non-negotiable, it's like you gotta eat.
You have
enough.
to eat, yeah.
Like you have to. And what I see so many times, and I feel like a lot of the people that I am working with now, whether it's one-on-one or online, they're just so overstressed, which I get.
Yeah.
It's life. You're running businesses. You're going through tragic or tough times. Absolutely. But if we're not eating enough, now exactly, it's more stress to the system. And like you said, the body doesn't know the difference between being stranded somewhere on an island or dealing with 1,000 different things and not
Yeah.
eating enough and not drinking enough
Takes
water
the stress.
and not sleeping enough.
Mhm.
So that's a thing we can control.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I get you can't control the uncontrollables, but let's grab hold of what we can control. So from an eating standpoint, making sure you're eating enough,
Mhm.
because that's going to fuel the metabolism so it doesn't think it's dying and now you're in fight or flight all the time. But what do you think? I'm not like putting you on the spot,
No, it's fine.
but I am though. But what do you think? How do you think would be a good way to start knowing that you're getting enough to eat?
So I'll start by saying how you know if you're not eating enough.
Fair enough.
You know if you're not eating enough, and this kind of or may go hand in hand with working out too much. A lot of people that I come across with work out too much and don't eat enough, and you really can't do one without the other and make progress. So you know if you're not eating enough, if you're exhausted all the time, or not recovering, exhausted all the time, maybe getting bad sleep, experiencing dizziness, headaches. Maybe some gut issues are happening. A number of things that kind of happen in our daily lives that may feel normal to us, but they're not common. Or I should say reverse. They may feel normal and common, but they're not normal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So you feeling tired all the time, you feeling dizzy, you having stomach issues all the time and saying, oh, well, this is who I am. This is, how my body's been for forever. That's not normal. It's not normal for you to feel stomach pain all the time. It's not normal for you to not sleep. It's not normal for you to have or experiencing these things that are going on. So if you are not eating properly, that can be your body telling you that something's happening. And your body will always tell you that something's going on. So
Yep.
just sit there and listen. As cheesy as that sounds, your body will always tell you what's wrong. So listen to your body. If your stomach is hurting all the time, or if you're tired, or if you never want to work out anymore, you feel like you're dreading it. Maybe you're overtraining. There's a bunch of things that could be happening. But that's, I guess, I don't know if I answered your question.
No, that was actually really good. I was just going to say something with that. Of course, I forget what I was going to say.
Brain fog is
actually, yeah. No, I'm like 1,000 calories short right now.
But yeah, it's a good one as well. Like if you're experiencing like lack of cognition and all of that, that's also another way of your body telling you something's up.
Yep. I remember.
Great.
So the other thing too is talking about total caloric intake in the sense of, is it better to eat 5 to 6 small meals per day? Blah, 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 X, Y, and Z.
And we just got a question about intermittent fasting. So it's good that you're getting into that. I don't know if you're still on there that asked this, but
I think we should have another talk just about
all
the different fastings and diets, because that's like a 5-hour conversation.
Yeah, we could be here all
and
night.
I know a lot of people have been asking for it. It's coming soon, I promise. But I will say this. I would say for me, top priority is getting in the calories. Whether you do that in one meal, which I have done.
Oh my God.
Or you do it in 5 to 6 meals. I think it's more important to make sure you get in the calories and match your lifestyle to that. So if it's easier for you to do 5 to 6 meals, and that way you guarantee you're going to get in all your carbs, all your proteins, all your fats, do that. If you're like me, where I have a breakfast of 1,200 calories and I don't eat again for the next 8 hours, then I work out, have my post-workout meal, and then I eat again of like another 1,000 calories. I hit all my calories, but that's like, I would say that's probably more top priority than trying to, get your 5 to 6 small meals in per day. Thoughts on that?
From a digestive standpoint,
okay,
I wouldn't
recommend that as well.
From a digestive standpoint, that might not be great for everybody. But he can handle it. He's Thor, right? So I'm pretty sure he can handle anything. But yeah, I would say for me, do what works for your body, what works for your lifestyle. Don't get overwhelmed by all of this, and we'll, kind of end off with that. But I eat 5 to 6 small meals a day, depending on the day. When I'm at work, I plan my clients around my eating because I need to eat or else I'm going to get very hangry. But yeah, make sure that you eat, even if it's something like, an RX bar, while you're running to, the store, or whatever you're doing. Just plan around that. Every 3-hour period is probably best, just to keep your cognition going. And you're not falling into, oh, that really brings me into a nice topic. If you are going through really long periods of time without eating, you'll experience what I call carb drunk, where your mind relies on carbs, your brain relies on carbs. So what'll happen is if you get so depleted, your mind will tell you, well, I need something right now. It's not going to say, hey, I want the, healthy protein with the veggies. No, it's going to say, I want a donut. I want a bagel. I want something to raise my blood sugar right now because it's super, super low. Again, your body doesn't know what you're experiencing. It just knows that something's up and it needs to be fixed. So that's why you're going to crave pasta or something that is of that source. So that's why I always say try to eat every 3 hours, just so you don't get yourself to that point where you feel like you have no control over your decision, because literally your mind will be telling you, I want that, and I don't care what you say. So yeah.
That is really good tips. Good. I just saw a question here. It says, are vitamins and mineral supplements necessary if you're eating quality foods you were talking about?
Can I get into that?
Yes, you can.
Okay. This is my favorite
I think
love day. So yeah, someone just asked, are quality multivitamins necessary if you are eating all of the foods that you're eating? Absolutely. So now vitamins are not meant to fix a broken diet, but they are meant to fill in the holes of your diet. So let's say you are eating a textbook diet, which I call it, all of your healthy proteins, proper amounts of fats, carbs, all of that good stuff. You're eating all of it, top notch, excellent source. Because of the mass production nowadays, think of your healthy fruits, your healthy vegetables, all of that. The soil and the nutrient within that soil has been massively depleted. So even if you are consuming those fruits and vegetables, again, they're still healthy for you, but we can't assume that they have all of the vitamins and the minerals that we expect them to have, because now the quantity is produced in such mass quantities. So getting a multivitamin every day just helps us fill in the gaps so that we are getting our nutrient intake in properly, and we're not just relying on food. That's why a few core supplements are really necessary for your overall health, because again, we can't just rely on food. Maybe our digestive system or our gut is not absorbing those nutrients properly, and it'll be better done through a powder or a liquid, or maybe the foods that we're expecting to be higher in quality aren't. So very good question. And I'm sure a lot of people ask that question all the time.
It's a great answer.
Thank you.
Very well put. Good. I think it would be cool if we could if you guys have any questions, we have a couple minutes for some questions if you guys want to spit some out. Or we can
I like the way you guys are giving us examples. Yeah, my pleasure.
Good.
Happy to help. Another, I guess, tip, maybe a few of you are watching this and you're like, oh my God, you're giving me all these tips, but I cannot do that. That sounds very overwhelming. Take one habit at a time. I use this with every single client and it works. The reason why your diets aren't working, the reason why your, extreme health, fads are not working is because it's overloading you with 9 million different habits that it wants you to change at once. Now, in the beginning, you're going to be motivated. You're going to be super excited. So you're going to, be stoked about, doing all of these different things. As life starts to kick in, you're going to realize this is too hard. I can't do all this. And you're going to rebel. And that's why you quit. And that's why you stop. So my best recommendation is to take everything that we said tonight and just take one thing that you think would be very beneficial to you, whatever it is. We gave you a bunch of explanations that are, I guess, critical to why you're having more carbs and so on and so forth. So take whatever you feel like is best for you. And in my opinion, the easiest that you could do. When you are successful at something, it's just this psychological response in your body. You reward yourself. You feel good that you've succeeded. So just take that one habit at a time. Get good at that. Ask yourself in about 3 weeks from now, have I mastered it? Do I need to think about it, or is it becoming more automatic to me? And is my life still easy as when I first started? If the answer is yes, then you move on to the next habit, and so on and so forth. But try not to implement all these habits at once, because once you do, your success rate goes down to 30%, whereas implementing just one habit at a time, your success rate is anywhere from 90 to 100.
It's a really good tip. There's a 2-in-1 question I'll answer, and then
Do you guys work out?
no, not at all. But what are healthy carbs? Really, to sum it up, would be starches would be a good way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Vegetables, like another way to look at it is like I would not so much focus on processed foods, but really like vegetables, fructose, so fruits are a good one to go to. Starchy carbohydrates, potential, like I said, sweet potatoes, squash,
Mm-hmm.
even oatmeal, depending on the type of rice per person. Like for me, if I eat white rice, I inflame to the end of the days, but brown rice I could eat all day, every day. So a lot of that you'll have to kind of figure out on your own.
Listen to your body.
Yep, but starchy carbs are a great way to kind of encompass them all, vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had Andrew saying, is overtraining real, and how important are rest days? I think it's important to answer those at the same time, because rest days can reduce the potential of overtraining. So overtraining is real, and really what it is you're overstressing the body.
And under recovering.
And that's why we're putting these two together. So most of the time, the first thing that happens is your central nervous system cannot recover in time from workout to workout because of workout frequency or workout volume. And when the nervous system cannot recover, which could also be because we're not eating properly, then again, cortisol will increase. So our fight or flight nervous system will always be activated. Now we're stripping more glycogen, we're burning more energy than we need to metabolically. As we've said before, it could be thrown way off. And so from simply put, because you're working out too much and not getting enough recovery days. So that's one way to describe what overtraining is. And with recovery days, why that's so important and why it's related to this is because when you stop that stress, your body's like, oh, I can heal now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in our day and age, I would say with a lot of our culture, it's like, got to do more.
Exactly, yeah.
I had this one client where she did high intensity workouts 5 days a week.
Oh my God.
I don't know how she was still breathing.
I know.
But I told her to take 2 of those days and just go walk. She thought I was crazy,
Yeah.
which is fine. But she actually, her body fat percentage decreased quite significantly and her muscle mass went up and she just felt better. So something as simple as that, walking can be a recovery day. You don't have to, a recovery day doesn't have to be nothing, but when we're looking at intensity, heart rate,
Mm-hmm.
volume, it has to be significantly less.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer to that. I think we have time for one more question.
And someone asked about vitamins, but this will play and they can just like look at
Absolutely.
this again. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you that asked about vitamins, we just went over that. So it'll play and just remind
Someone
you.
asked about intermittent fasting.
Nah.
We have to save that for another conversation because that would be an hour response.
Yeah.
What do you do when you hit the gym but you feel under the weather a bit? Is the nutrition should be changed? There could be many different reasons for that. Nutrition is a good place to look, especially if that's consistent. Like if you notice that certain times of the day or when you go to the gym, you're always feeling under the weather. Yes, nutrition could play a role in that, but I would also say it could probably be hormone imbalance, which nutrition can play a role in. So there's no specific answer to the question you're asking, which I'm sure you were looking for, but start with nutrition. And again, with like you said, like Sam
It's the
said,
easiest thing to
yeah.
control.
you can go back through these videos because this will be on my YouTube and
Mhm.
it'll be on both of our.
Is it play for an hour? Like you could, I mean, an hour, 24 hours?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it'll be on the story where
Yeah.
you can watch it, and you can hit all, focus on one tip to go from there.
Mhm. Cool.
But I think that's it. I think that's all we got time for. So thank you
Thank
guys.
you guys for watching.
Go follow Sam. What's your
Go follow
handle?
Brad. I am Samantha.Sufjan. And Brad?
I'm going to put a link in there because I don't know how people are going to spell that. Mine's a lot easier.
I don't think so.
It's Brad Feinberg 88. It's so much easier.
I don't think so.
Thanks
Bye,
for watching,
guys.
guys. Love
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye.
You're hilarious. Oh, this is so